Hello and welcome back to another episode. This is my Elddis CV that I've owned for nearly 2 years, and in this week's video I'll be showing its interior features. And then once that curtain is wrapped around you, there's no going back. Its exterior features. You can see there's just like 3 bars across. What it's like to drive. So one thing I would say is this van does struggle a little bit going up hills, and what it's like to live with. My name is Alex and you're watching The Leap into Van Life. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. This van is based on a 140 brake horsepower engine, coupled with a manual gearbox, and it is 6 meters in length. It weighs in at about 3 tons, so it can be driven on a standard UK licence. Starting with the driver's side, the van came in this lovely Lanzarote grey, and on the side we have the gas filling point, so that is how you fill the underslung gas tank, the cassette toilet. And then down here we have the waste and freshwater disposal. And these taps are absolutely tiny. So they take, once you twist this, there's literally just this tiny nozzle. And it takes like 10 minutes to empty, which is really frustrating. And then we have the exhaust outlet for the heating system. And then the water filling point, a 230 volt external plug that we have never used. So that was kind of a pointless option. And then the plug there to plug in at a campsite. Moving on to the rear of the van. So because it was a dealer special, it did come with a bike rack, but we took that bike rack off and replaced it with a Fiamma bike rack, Fiamma ladder, and a Fiamma roof rack. I did do a video on all of the van upgrades that we've done, so if you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. This bike rack we use all of the time, and it has actually been very good. And you can also get like a box that goes on the back so you can have more storage. But the roof rack and the ladder have never been used. We have never tied anything to the roof of the van. And the reason for that is how the roof rack is spaced. So on our old van, we had a Rhino roof rack. And it was kind of like a racking all the way across. Whereas this one, if I climb up and show you, you can see there's just like 3 bars across. And then there's so much other stuff up there, like the TV area or the windows, solar panels. So it's just not as practical to use as the rack we had on our old van. So yeah, we haven't actually ever used it. And it's also got this roller bar. We have a 16-foot canoe, but the canoe's so heavy, I don't think we'd be able to lift it up here. So this roof rack was kind of a pointless option. And the same with, if I just climb back down, the same with the awning on this side. So unless it's like a really calm day like today, you can't really use the awning. And then if you're on your own, it's really difficult to pull out because the whole thing kind of sags and it just feels like it's going to snap. Okay, so let's move on to the interior. So down here we have this lovely step that comes out with a push of a button. And now we have a fully extended step. And we also have this fly screen, which when we first bought the van, the fly screen was unusable because here it used to fall off the tracks and then it would just be like hanging. I don't know if anyone else had the same problem, let me know in the comments below, but we had to buy this like metal plate to keep it in there, otherwise it would just fall off every single time we used it and it was a nightmare. So yeah, we have a nice fly screen. And then we also have some, well, what were nice carpets, but after nearly 2 years, I think they've seen better days. And I'm just going to shut us in. So there are no lights on in here. And as you can see, it could be a little bit brighter. I think the tinted windows do make it quite dark. So starting with the cabin, this fan is used quite a lot. So there's stuff in a lot of the cubby holes. So this will be a good example of how usable the space is. So it has a multi-functional steering wheel, a 6-speed manual gearbox, an infotainment screen which has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That screen was extra, so if you wanted there was an even bigger screen, but if you don't want a screen, you can just have like a few buttons, but it does look pretty basic. And then we have aircon down here, that's for the heated rear windscreen, I think, that we don't have. And that's the lock button, which we put a little reflective sticker on. And then obviously ESP, which you do not want to turn off, and the hazard warning lights. Moving on to the storage. This is where this van almost excels. it has a lot of storage. So down here we have a map, we have a cup holder, all of the storage here. I mean, it's quite a small glove box. If I show you like this flask, that's not going in there. But it's fine for like sunglasses and other things like that. And then down here, we have a huge storage area, which actually goes really far down. And that's good for like storing laptops and tablets because it has a lock on it. Not that that would stop many people, but yeah, it's just good to lock away a few things. And it also says there's a USB slot in there somewhere, but I don't see one. And on this side, as you can see in the door pockets, you have a little pocket up here, place there for some change, big door bins, and then even down at the bottom, there's even more storage. So yeah, there is a lot of storage in this van. So in a lot of vans, these cupboards aren't here and they are replaced with cup holders. We do have one cup holder here that we kind of use for money, but the door bins have cup holders in, so I don't see why you'd need even more cup holders down here. So yeah, I think this tray is much better than having the 2 cup holders. We don't want to forget, this storage in here is connected to the air conditioning and it will keep anything cold. So it's almost like a little mini fridge in there. If I take this out, you can see the space. Got our own mini fridge. The only thing is you do end up losing things in there because you can't actually see unless you put your head right up to the windscreen. And then everyone that has a Fiat Ducato will know about this famous clip system that is designed to hold all of your paperwork. And I don't think it's on the new Series 8 van actually. I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But yeah, this is quite handy and you can obviously like put a tablet there and watch TV. So moving on to the back of the van. These seats both swivel around to create the dining area for the Elddis CV60. And this is where the table leg will go. The whole thing is a little bit fiddly, so you have to undo these straps here. Which I think these should be almost on like little clips. So it has this little bit here that you have to line up perfectly. And then sometimes it just doesn't latch on, so then you end up just twisting it until, yeah, and then it just comes off loose. But that is the table leg. And then to get the table, you have to go into this cupboard. And if you've got stuff in this cupboard like we have, you have to kind of move it all out of the way. Move everything out of the way, unhook this table, and then this table slides out. So if you plan to use the table a lot, you have to be cautious of how much you keep in this cupboard, which can be a little bit unpractical sometimes. And then the bottom of this table just has this black ring. If I pop you back there, and that just sits on top like so, and it just clicks in. And that is the dining area. And this dining area actually works very well because you have all of this table storage here, the actual table here, and then an extra storage bit here. When the table is out, it is difficult to get in and out of, but luckily the whole thing twists, so it makes it easier to move. You just have to be careful, obviously, with whatever's on the table. So yeah, this is just a really nice usable space. And on a nice summer's day, you can open the door, sit here, and look out across the lovely fields of Devon. Bah! Yeah, the sheep agree. The sheep are in favour of this dining layout. Okay, so moving on to the kitchen. We have, under this cupboard, so this cupboard will fold to here, a storage drawer that we keep kind of like loads of little bits in. Anything that doesn't really have a home. A cutlery drawer that is absolutely disgusting at the moment. Another drawer just for like tin foil and like cereal wipes. We just have hundreds of gloves. So that is the storage there. And then we also have some storage here. As you can see, like this van is used, so a lot of the cupboards have a lot of things in. Down here is the gas point to turn on and off the gas. And then we have a cupboard here, which we use for plates and bowls. And then under here, we have the switches to turn off the switches to drain the boiler, and loads of wires and things that I don't touch. And then an oven and grill. And a hob with 2 gas rings and an electric ring, which can only be used when we're connected to 240 volts. And then above that, we have 2 storage cupboards for food, and we don't ever keep food in the van if we're not using it. So I've now turned on the electrical system, and we have 2 lights under the kitchen and a light up here. I think this van probably has too many lights, to be honest. Like, these lights are very bright, probably brighter than you'd ever need for such a small space. This door also has a little storage compartment that you can't really use because if you put anything in there, it just rattles like constantly. So you could probably put like a tea towel in there or something, but yeah, you wouldn't want to put anything in there that would rattle because it would get very annoying. If we move back slightly, we have the microwave. This microwave is honestly a lifesaver. When you're in the van, I always say the last thing you want to be doing is cooking. So that microwave makes it just so easy to throw things in and it's done. We have some storage up here. This is where we usually store our bedding, but right now it's just got some cushions. Then moving on to the electrical system. I'm not the biggest fan of this system, so if I switch it on, now it's on. You don't actually know it's on, so it's annoying when you're using the water and you're not sure if the water pump's on, and then you have to press it to see if it's on. So yeah, that can get a little bit annoying. And these gauges, so this is saying the battery's full. That's obviously saying water's empty, but you can not rely on these gauges at all, especially with the water, because the water will say it's empty when it's actually nearly full. And then that is obviously a switch for the lights, and then that is for the awning light, which is outside of the van. Down here, this is to heat the water, so we have this water heating system. You can heat it on gas and you can also heat it on electricity. And the same with the heating for the van. So you can heat the van on gas and you can heat the van on electricity. And then this is the gas level, so that's saying the gas is full. Sometimes it says the gas is empty. So it said recently that we had 2 bars of gas left. We went to fill it up and it only took like £2 something. So that is also very, very wrong. So let me know in the comments below if anyone has the same issue with the water tanks and the gas tank, because yeah, I've never known a gauge to be so wrong. And then moving down here, we have this storage area, which is basically just full of everything that doesn't really have a home. So we've got like dog leads in there, the dog bowl, the electrical cables, just everything and everything, to be honest. And then we have 2 USB sockets here, a 240 volt plug. If anyone has seen any of my other videos, they will know that I am not the biggest fan of this bathroom. And the reason for that is when you're stood in here, this cabinet protrudes so far out that your shoulders are basically up against it. And then if I close the door, as you can see, like, there really is not much room in here. And then once that curtain is wrapped around you, there's no going back. I need to get out, I don't know. I'm not even claustrophobic, but this bathroom makes me feel claustrophobic. So yeah, it's a very small space. It's not designed, obviously, to be used to shower in like constantly. And then we have a Thetford toilet. And this carpet obviously removes, so you can shower in here. Moving on to the back of the van, this layout was the reason that we bought this van. So this is like a French daybed, and when the covers are removed, there's just a nice sofa, a nice sitting area. To make the bed at night is so simple. All you have to do is lift the bed up, slide it out, and then you just pull the mattress and then push the back bit down. It honestly takes like 2 seconds to make. And yeah, obviously we just leave the mattress protector on unless we're using the van in the day. So the bed is basically already made. You just have to add the covers. And then to pack the bed away, you basically do the same. You lift it and then slide it. And it is just that simple. And another great feature with this bed is because I'm quite tall, the bed comes out to about here and my feet can hang off the end. so they're not pushed up against the bathroom wall. This mattress did not come upholstered, so it just came as a normal mattress, and I'm not sure why, because the Elddis CV20, it's already upholstered. We had to pay someone locally to upholster this mattress for us, which was a bit strange, because obviously it's a French bed. You would naturally use this as a sofa, so I don't understand why you'd want to sit on a plain mattress. And then underneath the bed, we have these little buttons here that you just pop out. One there and one there. This slides down. It has not much usable space, to be honest. So we have our camping chairs here, our chocks there, and as you can see, there's like the water pump, pipes for the heating, the fuse box. So there really isn't that much usable space underneath. And then that box at the back is the 2 batteries. So you can fit obviously some shoes and a few other bits under here, but yeah, you wouldn't be able to fit any bulkier items. And then this side, we have 2 storage cupboards, which are both quite large. That one's got my jacket in. And then loads of storage down here. So we have that cupboard which has like wires and the hoover. And just loads of storage. That's got my jet boil in. And then on this side, it has 3 cabinets instead of 2. And above these cabinets is this lovely, that one doesn't feel right. That one's coming loose. Oh, look at that. Look at that build quality. The screws are coming out of that one. Better get that sorted. So up here has this lovely light strip, and the same on this side. It's very dusty. And then it also has these blinds that when they're all closed, it's pitch black in here. And all of these vans have fly screens. So to open these windows, this window has this metal bracket, so it will only open so far. So that is as far as that is opening. And then in the roof, we have this nice big skylight, which also has a fly net and a blind. So I'm now going to talk about what this van is like to drive. So this is the 2.2 litre Fiat Ducato with 140 brake horsepower and a manual gearbox. So if we start it up, it says there's a door open. So one of the first things you notice is the van is quite noisy, but that's obviously because it is a van. And I've spoken about this before in some of my other videos, but the seats are too high. So my eye line is like basically looking at the plastic trim for the blinds. And that is because the swivel plates are too high. So yeah, it's not the most comfortable driving position. I feel like if the seating was a lot lower, it'd be a lot more comfortable. Anyway, let's take it for a spin. So the handbrake on these vans is on the right hand side rather than the left hand side as it normally would be in a car. And it does take a little bit of getting used to. But at the same time, it makes so much more sense because when you're doing a hill start and you're pulling away and you're at a junction, you're already leaning this way so you can look in the mirror to check it's clear. If you were leaning this way whilst trying to do a hill start, you'd be leaning backwards trying to look. So at first I was like, that makes no sense, but now I've spent time with it and I've had time using it, it makes way more sense. And I think it's on this side because then obviously the seats swivel around, and if it was that side it would get stuck. I'm just going to reverse back a little bit because there is some glass in front of me, and we do have a reverse camera on this van. The van also has parking sensors. The problem with the front parking sensors is they're on a switch down here, and if you leave them switched on, they'll beep constantly when you're driving, so you have to switch them off. But then obviously like you forget to switch them on when you're parking, so they don't actually get used very often. But all of the controls in this van are nice to use. And yeah, it's just quite a smooth drive. I wouldn't say it's as nice to drive as the Ford Transit or the Mercedes Sprinter, and I've driven both of those vans, but obviously, yeah, this is a Fiat at the end of the day. It's not a Mercedes. So overall, I'd say it's acceptable. It definitely feels like a van to drive. And I'd also say the turning circle on this van is horrendous. Like worse than our old Mark 7 Transit. Now the engine's warmed up, it is a little bit quieter, but it is still quite noisy. But I'd say for a van, it's definitely not too bad. It could do with probably a bit more insulation, but it's still quite enough to have a full conversation. This van does struggle a little bit going up hills. You definitely notice it going up hills, like the van is struggling now, and as you can hear behind me, everything rattles, and it's just quite noisy in here, to be honest. Another thing I'd say is these seats are very hard, even though they come with these nice armrests. They are very, very firm, like they're not comfortable at all. And one thing I've noticed is you can't adjust the headrest, and the headrest doesn't actually go high enough to support my head properly. So I think eventually these seats will be getting replaced with something a bit more comfortable. And I thought buying a new van that it wouldn't rattle or squeak, but this actually rattles and squeaks more than our 2007 Transit that we converted ourselves. And I think that's just because there's so many more components to it, and yeah, there's so much more to rattle and squeak. It's like bubble and squeak. So if I could replace this van with any van, it would be an automatic four-wheel drive Mercedes Sprinter. But they are insanely expensive, so yeah, we've got a bit more saving to do before we get there. So then, what's my verdict? I'd say overall we're both very happy with this van. It took us a long time to choose the right van, and we spent a long time thinking about what layout would work best for us. We even hired a motorhome because we were both set on a motorhome, and after hiring a motorhome we realised that wasn't going to work for us. So yeah, I think we've definitely made the right choice, and we plan to keep this van for a long time. And the thing with camper vans is there's always going to be some sort of compromise somewhere. So it's basically finding what you can live with and what compromises you're willing to make. And one of the reasons we didn't go for a coach-built motorhome was a lot of them suffer with damp problems. And the other reason was living in Devon, some of the lanes are very narrow. So I just want to say a massive thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and tune into next week's video where I'll be giving you a tour of a different van.